This is the pre-lab for the Mass and Change lab. There are 6 parts to this lab. Some of the parts may need to be started before others, so take a look at them and do them efficiently. Make sure you record your procedure in your lab notebook. Part 1, mass of steel wool. For this one, you're going to need a weighing dish. Zero the weighing dish or tare it. There's a button on the balance that can do that. Then take some steel wool, place it into the weighing dish, record your mass. Then you're going to take the steel wool and you're going to stretch the steel wool until it is roughly twice the volume that it originally was. It doesn't need to be perfect, just roughly twice the original volume. Make sure you record any observations that you note. Place the steel wool back into the dish and take the mass again. Part 2, mass of ice and water. In this one, you're going to need a beaker. You're also going to need some ice. Take approximately 1 to 2 pieces of ice, place it in your beaker, and now take the mass of that beaker with the ice in it. Take your reading, and then you're going to let the container sit and melt. Make sure you take the mass of the container after it melts. Part 3, mass of precipitate. For this one, you're going to need a small beaker to hold some test tubes, 2 small test tubes, and 2 chemicals. 1 calcium chloride and 1 is sodium carbonate. Put approximately 1/3 of the volume of your test tube, have it filled with one of the chemicals. Make sure you record observations about the chemical, and then do the same for the other chemical. The beaker is strictly there for holding the test tubes themselves. Place the beaker with the 2 test tubes that now contain the chemical onto your balance and take a reading. Then take the 2 test tubes, and it doesn't matter which one you dump into the other, but you're going to pour one of the test tubes into the other. Place both of your test tubes into your beaker, and now take the mass again. Part 4, mass of burning steel wool. For this one, you're going to need a Bunsen burner that is lit. You're going to need your steel wool from before. You can now kind of ball your steel wool up for use in this one. Take the mass of your steel wool after you've balled it up. For this one, you're also going to need a tongs, because obviously we don't want to hold the steel wool in the flame with our fingers. Take the mass of that steel wool, and now you're going to take that and you're going to hold it in the flame. Once you've burned it for a little while, you're going to take it off, allow it to cool a little bit, make sure you take some observations before and after, and take a mass again. Part 5, mass of dissolved sugar. For this one, you're going to need a vial that has a stopper end. You're going to need some sugar, a scupula, and then finally some paper to make a tare paper for your balance. You're also going to need some water, distilled preferably. Take your paper and you're going to fold it twice. Fold it lengthwise, unfold it, and then fold it the other direction. And what this does is makes a little pocket for you to put some material in. Then take some of your distilled water and put it into your vial. It doesn't need to be a lot. A quarter to a half will be plenty. Take your stopper your vial, your water, your tear paper, and now put a little bit of sugar on. Doesn't need to be a ton. And take the mass of all of these things together. Then take your vial, remove your stopper, and now with your tear paper, and the creases make this a lot easier too, fold the tear paper up a little bit, and you can easily pour the sugar into your water. Don't throw the tear paper away yet. That tear paper needs to go back on because we need to mass the tear paper again, along with everything else. Put your stopper on, push it in, and a little quarter turn will be enough to seal it. And you're going to keep shaking it until all of that sugar dissolves up. Once it all dissolves, then you're going to take your vial and place it on there along with the tear paper and take another reading. Part 6, Massive AlkaSeltzer. For this, you're going to need a small Erlenmeyer flask. You're going to need a small piece of AlkaSeltzer and once again some water. Put approximately 20 milliliters of water into your Erlenmeyer flask. It doesn't need to be perfect. Then take the Erlenmeyer flask with the water and the AlkaSeltzer and put it onto the balance. Take a reading. Then take your AlkaSeltzer and place it into your Erlenmeyer flask. Now this is going to take a little while, but allow it to continue to finish reacting. Make sure you make some observations during this point. Allow the AlkaSeltzer to completely react. Okay? Then, once it's completely reacted, you're going to take the container and you're going to put it back on the balance and take a final mass. So disposal. All of these solid materials, so the burnt steel wool and anything else, weighing boats, paper, that all needs to go into the garbage can. Any liquids in this lab can go into the sink. Make what do you need for lab, and is your lab notebook ready?